Yes, hello, it's Saturday, December 6th. Yes, today, and since I plan to shoot at least one video every single week from now on, I actually spent quite a lot of time thinking about what I was going to talk about today, this week. I really wanted to make sure I chose a topic that would be both interesting and relevant, so I put a lot of careful thought and consideration into it. There's a lot I really want to talk about with you today, but this isn't just a story. I genuinely want to discuss something that can be truly helpful and valuable to our lives and our businesses. So, after thinking about it for a while, I came up with three important points. First, I'd like to tell you about a story from a book I read every day, and this story really resonated with me. Among the 13 habits, we see three groups. What this means is that those who have read it may know, but in every lecture hall there are three types of people who come out after listening to a lecture. Some people ridicule and criticize the lecture, some take a neutral stance, and some are very enthusiastic about it. Even if you take the same lecture, there are these three categories. So this content is it touched my heart. In some ways, I am grateful. When we come up with an idea and do something, we are so influenced by the reactions of those people. I thought that whether I eventually lose my physical strength or if my passion gradually cools down, this should be decided by me, and I shouldn't let those people control me. Because what is truly important is not simply how good or bad something is, but rather the fact that all masterpieces, no matter how celebrated, are bound to have their own unique flaws, which are often criticized and even ridiculed. I recently read a fascinating book by Han Kang, a renowned Korean author and Nobel Prize winner in literature. But I personally thought that the writing skills were really great. I really felt like he was different from ordinary people. But now some people have said things like, oh, the content doesn't really match me. And actually, among the people around me who have read the book, there weren't many who praised it highly. But if it's worth winning the Nobel Prize in Literature, it's amazing, right? So, this story made me think that there are three types of works like this. Some people are indifferent and don't read the book at all, regardless of whether it won the Nobel Prize in Literature or not, while others read the book and ask, is this worthy of winning the Nobel Prize in Literature? And criticize it, while others will say, wow, what an amazing person. There are people who see it that way. As a woman, when I look at her writing style, I found myself wondering, how could a woman have come up with such an imagination? That's the thought I had, so there are people who think that way. What I'm trying to say is this. When we're doing our Atomy business, even when we have an idea and we're following the system, trying to do something that reflects the chairman's words 100%, even if we say it with good intentions, when you look at the reactions, there will be people who criticize it, there will be people who are indifferent, and there will be people who actively cooperate. That's the thought I had. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about holding meetings where many people can gather and create a sense of unity. But the fact that it's not easy, reading this book made me realize that's just how things are. That's what I came to think. So then, what should we do? For me, I believe that if I talk to enough people, I'll eventually find those who respond positively and are willing to follow along. So, wouldn't it be ideal to have meetings or even thoughtful discussions with those kinds of people? But in order to get there, we can't expect it to happen immediately, right from the very start. So, personally, I came to believe that it takes time and that I need to consistently keep informing as many people as possible. Many people say that success is actually very closely related to the word consistency. The idea that even small habits, when done consistently, can lead to great results. That's consistency. So, if you're consistent with anything, even meeting people, if you keep meeting this person and that person, eventually you'll find someone who shares your intentions and responds well to your story. That's really a process of finding them over time. If I meet someone who truly has a dream, is earnest, sees the vision in Atomy and thinks, I must succeed, and their thoughts align with mine, that's a person I shouldn't let go. That's someone I must go with to the end. So personally, I've come to think that in this work too, since there are these three groups of people, we should focus on finding those who are just like us, those whose thoughts align with ours. Let's put our efforts there. And another thing is, we shouldn't be disappointed by the reactions to what we're doing now. We should just keep at it consistently. So sometimes I hear things like, ugh, that won't work. Huh? You're going to waste your time on that? I hear that kind of thing all the time. They'll say, do it this way instead. I hear that a lot too. Of course, I think it's also good to be open-minded and accept those ideas. So I try this method and that method, but the key is to do it consistently. Instead of trying something for a bit and quitting, then trying something else and quitting, if it's something that can be achieved over a certain period of time, let's just do it. Yes, do. That's why when I first started these YouTube videos, these lectures, I began with great passion, wanting to continuously show my progress. But at some point when not many people were watching these videos, I'd think, oh, I put in all this effort, why isn't anyone watching? There were times I was disappointed, but that's not what's important. When I look back and see I'm still doing this consistently, that's something I can praise myself for, thinking, you're doing a good job. That's why I keep making these videos. Yes. The second thing I want to talk about is really everywhere you go these days, people are talking about AI. I actually attended an AI lecture today. A Korean person was giving a lecture for the people here in Georgia at a restaurant called Seora Beol. So I was actually quite interested in that. The opportunity to teach many people about AI. The thing is, if you look on YouTube, there's so much content, so much. So I wondered, is there really a need for me to gather people and do it myself? You can find everything on YouTube. But what I realized is that while there are people who can understand things through YouTube, there are also those who watch YouTube but still don't know what to do. And it occurred to me that there are even people who can't even manage to search on YouTube. It seems that people who think about it vaguely can't get started at all. So if I can just provide that initial spark to get them going, I thought that it would be something worth doing. So through meetings, I want to teach our business owners, our Atomy business owners, how to properly utilize AI. Actually, utilization is something you do on your own, right? But I'm talking about the step before that. Yes, helping them so that they can utilize it. Many people, when I talk about AI, I didn't actually learn it from anyone. I just tried this and that on my own, and through that I gained some experience. In fact, when I first started my YouTube channel and began uploading, I was just trying it out. I mean, I didn't really know how to do it. As I did it, I learned, oh, there's this and there's that, and it's the same with AI. As I kept doing it, I found that I wanted to do it this way, and I'd ask, how am I supposed to do this? Then I'd ask again. But when I did, I wouldn't really understand what they were saying, and when I tried to do it exactly as they said, it just wouldn't work. So I just kept trying this way and that way. I made a lot of mistakes. But in the process, I learned something. Actually, today I went to a lecture and most of the content was stuff I already knew. But what I personally felt while the person was lecturing was that a lot of people seem to be very interested in artificial intelligence or AI. Looking at the people who came, the lecturer was expecting about 20 people, but it seemed like about 100 people showed up. So the speaker mentioned that far more people were interested than he thought. And then people started asking questions. And listening to their questions, some were really quite basic, but others really wanted to do it well, but didn't know how. So they were asking more advanced, detailed questions. Some even offered to pay for personal small group lessons. So, for now. Thinking about these people, I realized that we really need to be able to clearly and effectively explain artificial intelligence or AI well. I thought I should try to create content that can clearly and effectively explain it to people. But personally, I felt that Rather than doing it through YouTube, it would be better to do it through meetings, to check in on each individual, see what difficulties they're having and what level they're at. If the AI education proceeds while checking those things, I think it would be very helpful offering something you can't get from a YouTube lecture. I felt there could be some progress there. But why are people so eager to utilize AI? It's an obvious thing to say, but if you can't use AI now, you'll fall way behind. So people are becoming aware of that and thinking, I have to do this. But when you actually try it, you may find that it's really not that big of a deal. But it does have enormous potential. Some people realize that. I wanted to do this, and oh, it's possible. Recently, there was a very elderly person who would always ask me computer related questions. He'd visit and I'd explain things to him. I explained AI to him in detail from the beginning, and he uses it well. He's studying English with AI, and his idea is to find an easier way, an even easier way, and then an even more convenient way. So, this kind of studying, actually, AI has made it incredibly convenient. There's an English sentence, and below it the translation, and below that the pronunciation is even written in Korean. And it even reads it aloud for you to follow. Watching him study like that, I thought, wow, that's amazing. But then he asked me something. He asked me if it's possible for us to take a sentence from a book he's reading, create it in that same format, and have the AI read the pronunciation out loud. That's a great idea. Because while we can watch all sorts of things on YouTube, he wanted to take words, new words, from a book he's personally reading and create something in that same format, the one he always sees on YouTube. So I told him to try it himself, and he went and used Gemini and ChatGPT to create a vocabulary list in a table format. This elderly gentleman did, and I said, wow, you did a great job. But what he wanted was for ChatGPT to read out each item on that table one by one. So I thought, it's a good idea, but while you can ask ChatGPT to read it, there are actually easier ways to do it with other apps. So that became an opportunity for him to learn how to use those apps, because he's always trying to learn. Yes, when I went today, he was already there. I hadn't even told him to come and listen to this, seeing that he had already arrived, the very first one, the earliest. It shows that people with a passion for learning, no matter how old they are, can truly, in my opinion, make great progress. So looking ahead, I believe there are so many things we can do with AI. The impact it will have on us, especially financially, will be huge. It's going to make a big difference. Just think about it. I recently had this thought. Network marketing, this multi-level marketing, the commission they give us is essentially the money they've set aside from their advertising budget, right? In the past, companies spent a lot of money on advertising. So instead of doing that, they used what we called word of mouth advertising. The idea was that people would spread the word about the product, and in return for that effort, we would get a commission. But now this word of mouth advertising has evolved so much that individuals are creating professional level ads using AI. If you look at Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, it's not the company advertising, but these individual business owners who are advertising the product like true professionals. When network marketing first started, could anyone have imagined it would evolve like this? Honestly, when I first came across network marketing about 30 years ago, I heard people say that it was going to grow over time into a very large, successful, and influential business in the future. When Amway started, in fact, 70 years ago, I wonder if the founders really had this kind of vision. But I think the reason this field has grown so significantly and rapidly over the years is because it's directly linked to money. The scale of these advertising costs is just enormous. But the thing is, now everyone can do this kind of advertising. Think about design, creating images, making videos, producing short commercials. In the past, that was something only national broadcasters like KBS, NBC, or SBS could produce and distribute. But now, individuals can do all of that. That's an incredible development. So it seems the potential for using AI is truly limitless. That's why there's so much talk about doctors' jobs being threatened. Take medical consultations, not prescriptions, treatments, or surgery, but just a simple consultation. We still pay a fee and go to the hospital for that, right? But it's getting to the point where you might not even need to visit a doctor for that kind of consultation anymore. So it seems AI will become essential for our health. And what are people most interested in? It's their health, right? And since health is directly linked to our lives, what could possibly be more important than life itself? So, if we use AI well, I believe it can be a powerful tool to help us live very rewarding, happy, high quality, and even longer lives. I believe it can be a powerful tool to help us. Of course, there are people who talk about the negatives. As I mentioned, there are three groups, right? So that group exists as well. And criticism is something that will inevitably come in stages. That's fine. We should embrace all of that. And just keep moving steadily in the direction we want. I think that's the best approach. So, since the impact of AI is so huge, we must continue to pay attention and learn to use it. That's the point I'm trying to make. The third point is I've been thinking about how to enjoy doing the Atomy business. Because, with any business, the goal is to make money. Some people think, why does it need to be enjoyable? You just have to do it, even if it's hard to make money. There's a group of people who think that way. But then there's another group that says, if you're going to do it anyway, it's better if it's fun and suits your aptitude, right? And because life can be so dull, some people think of Atomy as a side business, a way to have some fun. Because you can find joy in meeting and interacting with people. So, with that in mind, there are people who talk about ways to do it enjoyably. Personally, I also find this Atomy business to be fun, yes. I think because it's fun, I work even harder at it. If it really wasn't fun at all, if I were only thinking about the money, I think I would have kept looking for something else. Like, isn't there something else that makes money? But for me, personally, the more I thoughtfully look at Atomy's vision, the more I genuinely feel that I can exert a significant amount of my positive influence within it. Honestly, the reason I started doing this on YouTube is because of Atomy, and I think I started studying AI because of Atomy too. It's all part of self-development, and there's a joy in learning new things for myself. Especially for me, I've always loved playing musical instruments. So, in middle school, it's a bit embarrassing to say, but I was really into heavy metal bands, and I was completely absorbed in things like the drums or the electric guitar. But when I tried to actually learn, it just didn't work out. I actually had a lot of passion for wanting to compose and make songs, but I kept feeling the limits of my own ability when it came to music. I kept feeling the limits of my own ability, so I often thought, oh, I guess I just can't do it. But through I can create songs, and when I make a song that I'm really satisfied with and listen to it over and over, new ideas just keep popping into my head. So when I compose and create a song and listen to it, and there's someone else besides me who truly enjoys it and we listen to it together, wouldn't that be an incredibly joyful thing? So for me personally, because this opportunity to write lyrics and compose music, something I never thought I could do, has come to me, I'm now enjoying it within Atomy. And actually, I was also interested in computer graphics, so I studied things like video editing in the past, but it's difficult and it just takes up so much time. So for busy people, they just end up putting it aside. I was like that too. In the past, before I did try to make a video once, but just to make that one video, I stayed up for several nights. So looking at what I had made, I thought, wow, I can never make this again. It was to that extent. But now, none of that is an issue because I can make videos so comfortably and enjoyably. So I thought that if I bring all of those things into the Atomy business, it could become very enjoyable. This is just my personal story. I thought it would be great if each person could try to find something they enjoy, something that brings them joy within Atomy, and also In relationships with people, you actually get a lot of stress, right? When you're with people you don't get along with. But then again, when you meet someone you really click with, conversation becomes enjoyable. The conversation itself. And so you start to feel like you want to do more for that person when you're helping someone. There's a saying that it's happier to give than to receive, something like giving. I wonder if Atomy is actually the only business where you can give like this. In what other business would you be giving things away? Businesses are all about their own profit. Businesses are. But Atomy seems to be about giving like this, so I find a lot of joy in Atomy. So I think if we think about it in various ways, we can come up with ways to enjoy Atomy. It would be great if you could think personally about how you can have fun in Atomy and share your thoughts. Yes, so today I've talked about three things. The one I thought was most important was the first point, which I thought a lot about today. So when you decide to do something and start it, don't be too swayed by the reactions of those around you. I thought that if you've made a decision to do something, you should see it through to the end, consistently. So I thought it would be great if many of you could also have good thoughts on this aspect and come up with some good ideas. Yes, as for the impact of AI, it's something I repeat every time, so today I just emphasized it, but it was the same content. And as for enjoying the Atomy business, the truth is, everyone's method of finding joy is different. So you could ask yourself at least once, how can I make this fun? Think about it, and I'd be grateful if you take the opportunity to find that out. Yes, today, oh, December, it's the 6th, but I've written the 4th here. This has been the YouTube video for Saturday, December 6th. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.